I'm Mark Golub, and if you're a fan of Shalom TV and have gotten to know me through Shalom TV, you know that I really love television as a fabulous tool that informs and educates and entertains, which of course is what Shalom TV is all about, providing you with Jewish information, Jewish education, and Jewish entertainment. But my wife and I really enjoy television. We tend to DVR our favorite programs. My wife DVRs a lot of Shalom TV, L'chaim at 9 p.m., Shalom TV's News Hour from 6 to 7. She DVRs a lot of the public affairs events programs, Ari Shavit and Leon Wieseltier and Daniel Gordis and Benny Morris. But we also DVR and watch together a number of weekly shows on other channels. You know I'm a news junkie, so I DVR a broad range of news talk shows. And my wife just loves Downton Abbey on PBS. But there are some hour series that we tape and watch together when we have the chance. We're huge Breaking Bad fans. Right now we're into the Americans. We like the first season of Homeland, Mad Men. We're big David Simons fans and love The Wire. We also love The Shield. And we watched House of Cards on Netflix and Broadchurch on Amazon. And a good friend who happens to be the president of Shareth Israel here in New York, David Nathan, turned me on to Foyle's War, a fabulous detective series set in England during World War II. Just a wonderful series starring British actor Michael Kitchen as Detective Foyle. And I love his character. Actually reminds me of my maternal grandfather. And though Chief Inspector Foyle is not Jewish in this series, I always feel that he is. And this Jewish projection of mine, feeling a character is somehow conveying Jewishness, Jewish values, even if the character or the program is not about Jews at all, is nothing Jewish about it. That brings me to one more series, which my wife and I absolutely adore. And you may have noticed not one of the series I've mentioned in our TV love list is a network series. We don't tend to find that network television is real enough or subtle enough. And in the main network television, as opposed to cable channels, has to be aware of its audience, which is more likely to have children in it and people with certain sensibilities. So network television can only be so edgy. So we're not into a lot of network series, but there is one network series that we do DVR and enjoy enormously, and we literally are teary-eyed at the end of every episode. The series is on CBS. It's entitled Blue Bloods. It stars Tom Selleck as the New York City Police Commissioner, and he's surrounded by a superb ensemble cast, including Donnie Wahlberg, who, by the way, is the brother of Mark Wahlberg, Bridget Moynihan, and a brilliant actor from the Broadway stage. And you also know that the Broadway theater is very important to me, one of my passions. Len Cariou is the grandfather on Blue Bloods. Let's take a quick look at a clip of the series Blue Bloods from CBS.
See, the other guy on trial here is me. That's how this plays out. With you in the middle.
Are you saying I should have gotten your permission before taking this case?
I'm just saying that your participation complicates an already difficult situation.
Yeah, and have you thought that it works both ways? Having you as a PC hasn't made it exactly easy for me.
I know that. But there are any number of prosecutors who could have handled this case, and there is only one PC.
Yeah, and the fact that he is my father isn't going to stop me from doing my job.
Now, on the surface, Blue Bloods is about an Irish family whose life has been devoted to law enforcement. Tom Selleck is the father of the family, Frank Reagan, the police commissioner. With 3 adult children, his sons, Danny and Jamie Reagan, are on the police force. His oldest son was a New York City policeman, but he was killed. And his daughter, Erin, is an assistant DA. And then Len Cariou is the grandfather who, before he retired, also was police commissioner. And then there's a cast of characters we get to know very well. There's the rest of the Reagan family members, a wife and 3 children. And there are the police partners of Danny and Jamie Reagan, both of whom are women. And on each episode, there are multiple cases that have to be solved, so that one might think Blue Bloods is a cop series. But I really believe that Blue Bloods is a very moving and touching morality play every single week. Every week, what Blue Bloods really does is explore the complexities of moral dilemmas and the human challenge of trying to navigate the ethical challenges of life. And police work is simply the metaphor. That's the setting of this exploration of how one balances one set of needs and responsibilities against another, how one stays honest with oneself inside the system, and how one remains true to one's principles in a very complex world. So, for example, in a recent ongoing storyline, Tom Selleck, as police commissioner, has to decide whether he should reopen a murder case of a serial killer, because it turns out he may have been innocent of one of the murders he was convicted for. But if his one mistaken conviction is overturned, it could jeopardize all of the legitimate convictions, and a serial murderer might go free. And Blue Bloods not only explores these types of issues every week, there's always the most uplifting message that in very real situations, ones we've all experienced, affirms what you've heard me say over and over again is the heart of the Jewish tradition. Namely, it's all about people and the primacy of human relationships. And I realize that a series like the one I've described, Blue Bloods, will not be for everyone. Some may find it too sappy. So I'm a sap. My wife and I are saps. And at the end of every episode, there's a moment that makes me and my wife just tear up. And we look at each other, and there are tears in both of our eyes, every single episode. And then the screen fades to black, and a moment later, up comes a single credit. Executive producer, Leonard Goldberg. And what a huge kick it is for me on our phones right now from Los Angeles is the executive producer of Blue Bloods, Leonard Goldberg. Leonard, thank you so much for making time to speak with us.
Oh, it's my pleasure, Mark. And thank you for those beautiful words. And that is the most eloquent and precise definition of what Blue Bloods is. Most people think it's a cop show, and are they going to catch the guy at the end of the episode? If that's what it was about, we wouldn't have been renewed past the first 13 shows, but you hit it exactly on the head.
You make me very happy. Thank you for saying that. Leonard, forgive me, I want to tell our audience a little bit about you and your extraordinary career. Leonard Goldberg is one of America's most creative and successful movie and television producers. Many years ago, he was head of programming for ABC Television, and then he became president of 20th Century Fox. Leonard now has his own production company, Mandy Films. His long list of movie producing credits include ones you know, Unknown, which starred Liam Neeson, and Sleeping with the Enemy with Julia Roberts, Double Jeopardy with Ashley Judd and Tommy Lee Jones, Bad News Bears, and the Oscar-nominated film War Games, which starred Matthew Broderick. And as a television genius, he produced the Peabody Award-winning Brian's Song, and in partnership with another outstanding Jewish television producer, Aaron Spelling, Leonard Goldberg produced such TV hits as Charlie's Angels, Starsky and Hutch, Heart to Heart, Family, Fantasy Island. It will date some of you. And his 1984 TV movie, Something About Amelia, which starred Glenn Close and Ted Danson, still ranks among the highest rated made-for-television movies, which is a genre Leonard Goldberg created himself. Leonard has a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, and he was honored by being inducted into the Academy of Television Arts and Sciences Hall of Fame. And he is executive producer of the CBS series Blue Bloods. Leonard, that's quite an impressive professional resume. Mazel tov.
Thank you. I'm proud of it. And listening to you, I must be 107.
No, you were born in 1934, right?
Right.
Okay. Leonard, I mentioned that I find a Jewish character to aspects of Blue Blood. And, I was so anxious to talk to you. I wanted to know if you have any sense of what I'm referring to. Is it fair for me to feel that way? Are you offended by it in a broader creative sense?
No,
What's your
I
reaction?
embrace that. Les Moonves, the CEO of CBS, my old friend, asked me if I could come up with a show for CBS because I'd never done one. And I thought back and over my career, and I thought, well, I've done police shows, I know those. And I did a show called Family,
Yes.
which was my favorite series.
Fabulous series.
And I thought, well, why don't I combine them and do a show about a police family? And I am not thrilled with the way the world is now or the way our country is now. And I thought, well, maybe in this show I can kind of create my own world.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't mean to sound, egomaniacal, but I thought there would be a place for a show that had the same kind of values as I have, the same kind of morality as I have. And I was willing to bet that there were millions of people out there who would respond to a family drama like that. Tom Selleck says all the time, our show is made up of these small moments.
Yes.
That's what makes our show work.
Yes.
And that's why the audience responds to it.
I am thrilled to hear you describe it that way. By the way, I want to talk to you about another moment. It's such a brief moment, but it touches me profoundly, Leonard, every week. Each week there is, without fail, a family dinner scene, a Sunday lunch in which every family member is there, 4 generations together, each sitting in the same seat each week, gather around this long dining room table, Tom Selleck at one end, Len Carriot at the other, father and grandfather. And there's conversation, honest, challenging, always loving interchange around that table. Now for me, Leonard, it reminds me of the weekly Shabbat table. I don't know if this resonates with you at all, but I was wondering what prompted and motivated this weekly staple of Blue Bloods, this family table dinner.
Well, when I created the show, I thought we had to have some signature to it, something that would crystallize all of my thoughts about what a family should be. And I came across a Norman Rockwell painting that celebrated Thanksgiving with a family. And I thought about my own upbringing with my own Shabbat dinners. And I thought that's what we'll do. We'll do a dinner every week. And a lot of my friends teased me. They said, you, Leonard Goldberg, a nice Jewish boy from Brooklyn, New York, you're doing a show where the highlight of the show every week is the family has returned home from church, has their Sunday dinner, really what we would call lunch, and right after that, your name comes on the screen. I said, well, what I learned from the beginning, the family dinner is the most beloved part of the show.
Yes.
It is, and people write. Taxi driver will say, that reminds me of my own family, and he was an Asian man. We have people from all walks of life saying, that touched me. That's what I had growing up. I wish I had it now.
Yes, yes. By the way, you mentioned your own Shabbat table growing up. I was curious. You were born in New York, raised in New York. What was your own Jewish family experience? What's your Jewish background, Leonard?
Well, I came from, I wouldn't say an ultra-Orthodox background, but my mother and father went to temple every Friday night. And in addition, of course, to all of the holidays, we celebrated all of the holidays. I went to Hebrew school, and so I had a very strong Jewish upbringing, and it has served me very well and kind of always been with me in everything I've done. And Blue Bloods is kind of the pinnacle.
Yes.
And I guess it goes back to that old adage, if you build it right, they will come.
Well, you built it right, Leonard. I am thrilled to hear how you describe it. And again, you know, whenever you're about to talk to somebody you've never spoken to before, you hope you hear certain things. You have validated, you've affirmed so many of my feelings about this show. By the way, there are often words of wisdom in the script. They're subtly worked into each episode of Blue Blood. So, for example, in a recent episode around the family table, the teenage daughter is talking about how sad it is that women sometimes feel they need cosmetic surgery to look beautiful. And that's one of the ideas of the show. Why do women have to go out and have cosmetic surgery? But then Len Cariou, the grandfather, puts real sadness, what real sadness is, into perspective. And he says, sad is dying before you see your kids grow up, or your grandkids being born, and then your grandkids. And then he adds, Leonard, growing old is a gift. Exactly. I don't know there's anybody on television, whether it's in a series or doing a live talk show, that has ever uttered that line. Growing old is a gift. There's so much wisdom in that line. And we live in a society, Leonard, that often fails to appreciate what's really important and how it's all about relationships and how there are gifts to living a long life and to growing old. So I was wondering who on the writing team of Blue Bloods comes up with these kind of thoughts. Describe for me the creative process of Blue Bloods.
Well, we have 6 writers on staff who are pretty good, and some of them are excellent. And then, just before the script is given to the cast, a man named Kevin Wade, who runs the show for me, does the final pass of the script. And Kevin is just a wonderful writer, and he has a great sensibility. And then I must add also, Tom Selleck will then get the script, and he will put in his feelings.
Really?
Yes. And he has the same feelings about life and people basically as I do. And so we're very much in sync as to the feeling that we want the show to convey, the message that we want the show to
Did you know him from before, Leonard?
No.
You know,
No,
by the way, our audience knows Tom Selleck became very well known because of his TV series Magnum P.I., which was really a character that was spun off from an earlier character that was in The Rockford Files. James Garner starred in The Rockford Files. And he had tremendous success. But what most people don't know, Leonard, is how accomplished Tom Selleck is beyond simply being a wonderful actor. He's a producer, he's a writer. So it's interesting for me to hear you say that there was a simpatico between the two of you in terms of the message and the tone of the program. And it just surprises me in a very wonderful way that Tom Selleck is contributing to the concept that you and I are discussing here.
Oh, very much so. We met. CBS said to me when they said they were going to do what's called the pilot film of the show to see how it looked on film. And they said, well, who do you think should be in it? And I thought about the family dinner.
Yes.
I thought about who would be sitting at the head of this table. And I said, well, I think there's only one guy who can do it, and that's Tom Selleck.
Brilliant. Brilliant.
And they said, well, you know, he's not an Eastern guy. He lives on a ranch out here in California, and he's used to starring in his own show, and this would be an ensemble piece. I said, why don't we send him the script and see what he says? And we sent him the script, and he asked to meet me, and I met him with the director and the writers, and we talked about it. And then he said an amazing thing. When we finished, he said, well, this is a big commitment for me because it's going to shoot in New York, and I live here in California. And also, it's a 7-year commitment. And I said, well, Tom, it's just making a pilot film. They may not even buy it. And he smiled, and he said, with you and this project and me, I'm talking about a 7-year commitment.
Oh, how flattering to you, and it is true. By the way, you know, Tom Selleck has this ability. First of all, he projects this incredible degree of integrity and a sense of responsibility, a wonderful moral character, a model for all of us. And Leonard, what he can do alone on camera, where you see him thinking to himself. There was a recent episode where basically he's troubled by the fact that because he's police commissioner, it may have worked to the detriment of his son Jamie and prevented him from becoming detective. And he's very proud. He gives Jamie an opportunity to do something, and Jamie is very successful, solves the case that we mentioned earlier. And at the very end, there's just Tom Selleck all alone, and he thinks to himself, and he just nods, yes. And you know, I just want to break into tears. I understand as a father, as a rabbi, as just a human being trying to do my best in life, everything that was experienced and expressed in that thinking and then that nod. But Tom Selleck has the ability to do that, Leonard, as few actors on American television can do it.
You're absolutely right. Tom said to me when we started, he said, you don't have to give me long speeches. He said, I can have a 4-page scene with no dialogue, but you can always cut to me because I'll be doing something, because I listen intently to the other actors and to the story we're telling.
Well, that's he is wonderful. Leonard, I want to ask you one more issue on a Jewish theme. You're quoted in Front Page magazine as having reflecting on the fact that so many Jews in Hollywood don't seem to care about Israel, and that you're surprised by the lack of pro-Israel Jewishness in Hollywood and in the film industry. First, what are your own feelings about the state of Israel?
Well, I care very deeply about it, which is one thing that's troubled me about our present administration. I'm not certain that they have the same deep feeling that American presidents have always had for Israel. One of my great faults in life is, even though I was on the verge of going 3 times, I've not yet been to Israel.
You've got to go to Israel.
I said, before I go, I'm going to Israel.
Okay, maybe we'll end up there together. Anyway, Leonard, why do you think so many Jews in the entertainment world do not want to self-identify as Jews and are reluctant to express a pro-Israel point of view?
It's a very hard question to answer because all of these people are very charitable people.
Yes.
Mostly they're very, very decent people. I know most of them. And yet, when it comes to Israel, they seem reluctant to step forward. I wish I knew the answer to it. I don't. But
some people feel it's because there's a very liberal tone to the movie industry, the entertainment industry, and the
absolutely.
And the mantra these days is that Israel is the bad guy in the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. And so it may be that there are, many people in your industry who feel, and it may be that it's unfair to say, they may even feel pressured to express an anti-Israel bias or to keep whatever pro-Israel feelings they have under wraps.
Mark, you might well be right. And by the way, they don't express anti-Israel sentiments.
Yes.
They don't do that. They just don't express great pro-Israel comments.
Exactly right. I want to ask you one more question about the series itself.
Please.
Yeah. Have you ever been criticized because the program seems to be too right-wing? And I don't see it. I don't see it as right-wing. And you know, Tom Selleck plays a police commissioner who, on the one hand, is very much adamant that his police force respect the rights of the New York citizen and always plays by the rules, even if there are other officers who sometimes want to cut the rules to make it easier for the police. At the same time, he as the police commissioner, expresses a very strong feeling about responsibility, about the need to follow the law. The police department itself. You tackled the issue of stop and frisk on the show. And I said to myself, I wonder if Leonard ever gets criticism from people who feel the show is too right-wing. What's the story?
Yes. Is that a short answer?
Yes. Does it?
Yes. I mean, I do get some of that criticism, and I respond by saying it's not right-wing.
At all.
It's not left-wing.
Correct.
This is the way I feel. I know it's the way Kevin and Tom feel about life and about people. And we are not political people. This is not a political show. This is a show about people. But yes, we do get criticized.
Well, I want to know, I think you handle the moral issues that face our society very, very well. I don't find it left or right, but I know that there's some people who are going to say, since it's not left enough, it's right. Look,
exactly. Out here in Hollywood, if you're not left enough, then you're right.
Leonard, you are an absolute joy to speak with. You've been doing fabulous work for years and years, and I believe your series Blue Bloods, which airs on CBS television, it occupies a very unique and wonderful place on network television, and I wish you continued success. Kol tuva hatzlacha in all of your endeavors, and I hope one day, if I'm in LA or you're in New York, we'll have a chance to meet in person. I've enjoyed you very, very much.
Well, thank you so much. I've enjoyed this as well.
Be well. Leonard Goldberg, one of America's most successful movie and television producers, and executive producer of the CBS series Blue Bloods. I hope it was fun for you to meet him. My thanks to our director, Sloan Copeland, program coordinator, Serge Goldberg, no relation to Leonard, and a special thanks to our producer, Carol Lilienthal. Until the next time, I'm Mark Golub. Be well, my friends.
We would be pleased to send a complimentary DVD of this program to anyone who wishes to support Shalom TV with a tax-deductible gift of $36, double chai or more, to the nonprofit organization Jewish Education in Media. Simply visit the Shalom TV website homepage and click on the Donate button to make a donation by PayPal or your credit card. And please indicate the program for which you would like a DVD. Or you can send your tax-deductible check made out to GEM, Post Office Box 180, Riverdale Station, Bronx, New York, 10471. And again, please remember to indicate which program you would like to receive on DVD with our compliments. And we thank you for your kind support.